even though it's not like the common problem that you're facing, like when a student comes and asks a specific question, if you don't mind me asking, what's a common thread that you're seeing when they come with a specific question?
Sure. Yeah, no, I mean, it's a fantastic question. I'm going to give you a couple of categories of what that they present as. So one thing, and not one is more important than the other. That's what I want to say.
Right.
This is just sort of off the top of my head. Is people have crises of faith, right? They just deeply question their Islam. They question their, sadly, just as sadly, I should say, they really question the community. Right? There's just people feel very alienated from the Muslim community. They feel like they don't belong. They can't find their tribe, right? I think part of it is also I'm dealing with a population of emerging young adults, 18, 20, 22, 25-year-olds. They're at that either in college or post-college phase, early graduate school, law school, med school, PhD programs. It's a very intense academic time in your life. Intellectually, it's very formative, right? I mean, you're committed to your work, but you're also like you're growing, right? Emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, you're growing.
Sure.
And so, for us, it's all about the balance, right? Finding the balance between your work, they call it the work-life balance. I would say the balance emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, and physically, right? You need to be healthy in all these areas. So for a lot of people, it's a crisis that they maybe can't put a finger on. Like, I don't know why I just feel like I don't connect with people. I don't feel like I belong. I feel homesick. Is it all worth it? Like, why should I even be doing this kind of work? Like, I'm putting in crazy hours and in college or med school or an MBA program, so there's just sort of general malaise, I'd call it, right? People are just like, I don't feel good and I don't know why I don't feel good. So when you dig a little deeper, for some people, it is a spiritual crisis. They're like, I'm looking at the world. I don't understand how Islam can work in this world. I don't understand how the Muslim community can navigate this world with all of the fitna and the fasad in the world, right? We can go through a long list if you want on what that is. They're just like, how does my Islam and my being Muslim fit into that? How do we answer these problems, right? Problems of deep racial divides, deep economic instability and inequality, right? The environmental catastrophe that's going on, the issues of misogyny, racism, sexism, classism. Like, how do I as a Muslim even begin to understand it? Do I do anything about it? Like, all of this, when you put it together, is a pretty volatile mix, right?
Sure.
That's one category. The other category, people come to me with like, they're just in their interpersonal lives. I just can't get along. I'm having I'm in a bad relationship. Right, with my friends, with a significant other, with a romantic partner. I don't know how to navigate this. I want to get married. My parents are trying to get me married to this person or telling me not to think about marriage, focus on school, getting a job. But like, people have emotional needs, right? So it's all of this other kind of category of things. Other people, they just have career questions. I don't know what to do in my life. My parents want me to be a doctor. I mean, medicine's interesting, but I don't know if I really want to do this the rest of my life. All my friends are going to finance. It seems interesting. It seems like a lot of hard work. But like, do I feel good about like being part of that whole economy and whatnot?
Right.
Like, I don't know. So these kind of questions, they're trying to figure out and navigate their life. I think another aspect that people, the last sort of category I'd put out there is people, some of them, they're just like, I really don't know enough about my deen. Like this whole time I've had Sunday school Islam, my parents, very cultural Islam in my house. And now you're in college and you're learning and studying fascinating new fields, right, of inquiry and subjects and all of that. And then they're just like, I realize I don't really know much about my own deen. Like, you get what your Sunday school teacher teaches you, your Imam gives some nice khutbahs that you absorb. But really in terms of depth, right, that's what they feel. And those people, I really applaud their courage because they're actually like being vulnerable and saying like, I'm acting Muslim, but I don't even really know what all my Islam is about, right? Not from a place of like a crisis, from a genuine place of curiosity. And they really want to learn. They're like, I want to learn how to be a better Muslim. Like, I really care about it. So I see that, and any and all of that kind of stuff.
Right. So those are some tough questions.
Yeah.
Those are some really tough questions.
Yeah.
So how do you handle that? Like, someone's coming to you with, how does Islam fit in the modern world? How do you, as a chaplain, like, do you have the training to answer a question that tough? Like, because you said you have mashaykh.
Yeah.
I thought you studied in terms of, I think you have a doctor's degree in philosophy. Or?
Not a doctorate. I have I was in a PhD program in Islamic studies and I shifted to chaplaincy. But
Okay.
I have a master's in Islamic studies and then a graduate training in chaplaincy and pastoral care. Yeah.
Okay, so you do have the training to answer some really tough questions. Then it's like, how do you approach? Like, someone comes to you with something like that,
Yeah, that's heavy. It's heavy.
Like, I'm thinking, I don't want to be Muslim anymore. Like, I don't think this is Like I'm at Yale. I'm getting my PhD in microbiology.
Yeah.
I don't think I agree with this whole concept of God. How do you? Someone comes to you.
Yeah.
Because he isn't all completely out. Like,
Yeah.
But he's got his foot halfway out.
Sure.
And he's coming to you to see, should I stay around?
Yeah.
Should I stick around with this Islam thing, or should I just dip? How do you handle that?
I mean, it's a great question. I'm not going to pretend to have the answer, but what I'll tell you, what our training teaches us is that the first thing is we lead with listening, right? So I don't know what's going to walk through my door, but I need to be prepared for whatever walks through my door. And when something like that walks through my door, I sit them down. You want to create a non-judgmental space and environment to be like, look, I'm here to just talk. I'm here to listen actually first. Just talk to me. Where are you coming from? Like, tell me about yourself. Tell me your story. How did you get to this point? What was your journey emotionally, physically, right? People come with all sorts of experiences, traumas, hidden traumas, right? Deep disappointments in life, you know? And so all of that is a part of them as a person. And so my job is to listen to their story and then look for threads, right? And then ask reflective questions, open-ended questions, right? And that gets them talking. Many of the times, they're not either looking for an answer from me, they're just looking for someone to talk to and someone that's going to listen to them. Because look, we live in a world where everyone else is talking, right, about everything at other people, and not enough people are listening to people, right? That's also part of the kind of the frustration, I think, of the modern world we're living in right now. So some people just, they haven't felt heard. They haven't felt seen, as they say. So a lot of that is seeing them, acknowledging them, hearing their story. Once you get to the next level, and then they have specific questions like, how would you answer this? If we get to that stage, there's some questions I'm qualified to answer. I'm like, oh, let's read this article together, right? We read it together. Like, I will read it with you. We will discuss it. Like, we're, over a coffee. Like, let's talk about it. What do you think? What do I think? I'm not going to purport to have the answer, right? We can, in fact, anything, it opens more questions up. But then if there's things that are, clearly there's a lot that's beyond my specialty, right? I'm more of a generalist and not a specialist. Is my job then is the referral system. Right? Is that I'll say that I would be dishonest for me to try to even give you an answer to that question. But let's see who we can find that may be able to answer that I can put you in conversation with. So it may be a sheikh, it may be a professor, it may be a scholar, a scientist, or whatever, that can better answer specific questions that are troubling them or they're curious about. But it's really that whole process of welcoming them, being non-judgmental, being, what they call, create a non-anxious presence, right? Because let's be honest, let's be real. For many people, religion creates a certain anxiety, right? Because it's performative. Like, I have to act a certain way in the masjid around these people, and if I say or do anything wrong, bam, like, I'm a bad Muslim. You don't belong here. Get out of here, right? You're not dressed the right way. You don't have the certain jargon, right? You don't know the performative aspect of our deen, and so and that frightens people, right? And so I think if you create a non-anxious presence, be like, come to me. This is the beautiful, I'm not going to claim this at all. I didn't come up with this, right? Is that, they say, I think it's attributed to, Imam Zayd and many others who were like the inspirers of the Ta'lif collective, come to Islam as it is. Come to Islam as you come as you are to Islam as it is, right? Like, come who you are, right? People are at different points of their spiritual, emotional, psychological journey, but then come to what we believe is like Islam, normative Islam, right? And our job is ahlan wa sahlan, come on in. Like, there's no like barrier at the door, right? Being you can't come in. Yeah. So
that's like a more, it's a pretty deep question. But what about something that's more specific? Someone's coming to you with a fiqh question. Yeah. Like for example, something that's common in my age group, that, hey, what's Islam's problem? What's its deal with homosexuals? Why don't you guys just accept them? Sure. And there was actually a study done. This was I think it was the most conclusive after the Pew study. I think it was the Islamic Society of North Texas, that they found that it was 10 to 20%. The sheikh said 20% because it was a comment instead of it being an actual question on the poll. Yeah. But he said 10% said, in terms of concerns about their religion, is, why doesn't Islam accept homosexuals? Sure. I mean, this is a very common concern amongst amongst young Muslims today, and I hear it. I mean, I hear where they're coming from and whatnot. So, I mean, with questions like that, it's listen to what their concerns are, and then have a conversation. Right? It's like, what do you think that Islam says about this, and where are you basing these sort of assumptions or what you think from? And then let's look at the text. Let's look at what our texts say. Right? I mean, it's an inquiry that deserves sort of an exploration, and then let's look at what the scholars have written. Right? There are
sort of popularly understood. And I'm not, I'm not a sheikh and gonna, I'm not making any ijtihad. I want to make that explicitly clear, right? But we look at we're dealing with, really intelligent, motivated college students. We're living in the age of information.
Right.
People, if they want to know enough, they're going to dig, and if they know how to dig, they can get and unpack and unlayer scholarly opinions and whatnot. So we have a conversation about that, right? Is that we may agree to disagree on certain things. Like, I'm very open to that possibility, because at the end of the day, if they're coming to me for a conversation, ahlan wa sahlan. If they want a specific question and they're asking me, what is your opinion? I'll say, my opinion is X based on what I have learned and the scholars that I follow and trust, right? Because really at the end of the day, it's all based on trust, right? And if they want to accept or trust my, perspective, bismillah. If they choose not to, it's all good, mashallah. I mean, you're welcome, right? I'm not running Darul Islam here where there's like a certain, my way or the highway or anything like that. Right. So, I think with students, it's really because it's respecting their intellectual curiosity, right? Saying that you're asking for perspectives. Here's a perspective. Here's what I would say, a normative perspective. This is widely understood throughout the ummah on these very big issues. And my job is to discuss that, explore it with them. And at the end of the day, however they want to take it, they can take it, because, again, it goes back to this idea of I want to be non-judgmental to them. Now, there are students, I'll just add on, this is a footnote to the question. Sure. There are people that are so deeply grappling with some of these questions, they'll come back, right, and say, I want to continue this. They'll come back again and again, and we'll develop a deeper conversation. And then they might want to know, what's your real opinion on this? And then they're looking for advice. Like, not just like, what do you think about this? What should I do? And if they ask me, and this is for a chaplain always at the very end of it, right? Because generally we're not there to dispense, I'm a spiritual advisor and I do spiritual caregiving, but only if someone asks me, what do you think I should do about this? Then I'll say, since you asked me and I know you and I know this situation, here's my nasiha. Here's my advice, coming from a place of good, sincere counsel for your benefit.
I hear you. Now,